Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Cool Breeze Experience. My name is Clifton Joseph, and Breeze is not away. He's actually in the other seat. This is part 2 of an interview we did before. If you want to see part 1, you can check Jackie Vibes Radio. You can check Breeze on social media, and of course, you can check Cool Breeze's YouTube channel for part 1. So we're back here again, part 2. Breeze, welcome to your show. Why are we doing part 2 of this? Because we were pretty exhaustive in the way we did about an hour and change. But now you called and you requested to me passionately that we should do part 2.
Good afternoon, Clifton. Pleasure to have you on, my man.
Indeed.
Always an honor and a pleasure. There was a demand.
Mm-hmm.
There was a demand for part 2 because the first one was so sweet and juicy.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you get a Julie mango?
Absolutely.
Compared to the other mangoes?
You want another one or two?
You suck that seed till it's white.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Suck up that bone, man, and all the tear in your teeth.
And you want to make something out of it because the hair look like you can make a human being
and then
sculpture out of it.
You go home and your lady says, where have you been?
Okay, I've been with Julie.
Whoa! Walked into that one there, buddy.
Yeah, baby.
So, my good fans, Lee Great in New York said, I watched it twice. Miss Sandra Hakim, fabulous lady.
No relation to you?
For Sandra Hakim and Cosmic Echoes. The Dayton scene people.
Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, birthplace of some kind of funk, baby.
Paul Mason and the English crew.
My mate out of the UK
said, Breeze, this is too good. We gotta get a part 2. I watched it so many times. It got 150 something hits. So I was after you. I said, Clifton, pinch something out in your schedule and come in the studio now, man.
Let's do it, Breeze. And you know, when I get that call, Breeze, and I heard the insistence in your voice, I said, like a Jackson 5 from Gary, Indiana, got to be there, be there
in the morning.
Breeze,
yes.
Jackie Vibes. It seems like you're almost like a mogul. Jackie Vibes is like a mogul with multiple channels, multiple stations, multiple DJs, and it seems every other week or two you add somebody new. What is Jackie Vibes? What is the ethos of the Jackie Vibes radio experience? And what, in essence, if you could say, what is the mission statement of Jackie Vibes radio?
That's a 2-part question. First things first, I always wanted to be dynamic. With anything I do in life,
you are
variety. I wanted us to be different from everybody else. I don't want to be like a million radio stations doing the same thing. That serves no purpose. It gets boring. Cookie cutters. I don't want no part of that. Now, there are broadcasters listening to Jackie Vibes. They're on 2 and 3 different channels. But they like what we're doing because we have the creative freedom of expression to communicate our ideas. And
let that DJ go. Let that DJ go.
Yeah. Yeah. So that part, the vision, mission statement, Clifton. We are here to inspire people, stimulate the human, uplift, stimulate the human mind. All that's good. The mission of God, the mission of music. Things that exemplifies excellence. It's a blessing to be on the air breaking down the walls with music. Jackie Vibes Radio is about, it represents black excellence. Black Wall Street. Things you don't hear about. All that negative bullcrap that they plaster the minds of the people around the world. We want to get out of that. And the next thing is, our cultural footprint is significant in what we've made in the world. Local to global. It's a cross-pollinization of music, broadcasters, and musicians. The interplay, which is so incredible in what we do. So we're here to take the music into a different dimension with music and dialogue and the uniqueness and the incredibility. The difference where Jackie Vibes Radio stands out. What makes us unique is our unpredictability, our spontaneity, the unscripted nature of the show. To change the trajectory of radio broadcast.
Speak.
Take music deep into the cosmos. Jackie Vibes, we're the voice of the people in the heart of a struggle, man. We're here to educate, inform and inspire people. You dig? to serve the common man, the marginalized community, the people without a voice. Black history is world history. And black, how do you call it, that month? How you do that?
Black History Month, February.
It's year round with Jackie Vibes. We are here to lead the people out of musical bondage. We've been locked into that colonial madness for so long.
Pharaoh, let my people go.
Thank you. Kool Breeze Experience Show is a paradigm shifting moment for me and the audience at Jackie Vibes Radio. And this all vision, mission, statement to always strive for excellence, my brother. Yeah.
And the internet, what part did the internet play in this mission statement of yours, and how did it help facilitate the smoothness thereof of you from conception to actual,
Great.
actuality?
Nice question. You remember shortwave radio?
Absolutely.
Long wave and medium wave. It was so staticky. You have to break dance when you find and you kind of sort of get a station with some kind of, it's not even close to clarity.
No.
Depending on the time.
We gotta turn the radio, turn the antenna.
Right.
Go into the other room.
Right. So now, the technology is so astounding. It's insurmountable. It's monumental in what it can do for us. You listen to any station around the globe, there's no static. If you hear bad quality, is what the guy has putting into his broadcast broadcast system globally. But it's not up. It is not the fault of the technology itself. It's so advanced, it's mind-blowing. From recording to broadcast to live sound to even a simple thing you buy at the store and you listen on the train, the little hi-fi thing. The technology is mind-blowing, man. So that helps us, and plus what the equipment we use.
We'll get to the technology at some point. Go on. But radio, though, of course, we grew up with radio. You're in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm in Antigua and so on.
Right.
I know that a couple of things stand out, right? The news guys would have a British kind of thing,
Right.
Beep, beep.
Yes.
The BBC radio, at the end of the timeline and so on. So the news guys would adapt the British thing. Of course, the actual DJs would adapt a more Yankee thing.
That's correct.
So on. So
that's correct.
I always like to listen to the cricket commentators.
Oh, me too.
Tony Crochet and all of them dudes, Tim Hector and so on. Because it's silly me on. He winds up. West Hall is coming from, it seems like 2 miles along. You can see their velocity, and he lets go that cricket ball and it's 90 miles an hour. And my man at Silly Midon, and just the lingua franca of all of that. So what was waiting for you in TNT?
First, before I get to that, the cricket part, I'm glad you brought that up. It's vital because I played cricket. I open bat, open bowl.
Nice.
My teacher used to call me the demon bowler.
Okay.
And I didn't understand why. One time I took 7 for 21 against almost, and I was 14.
You're in somebody's book of your records.
Yeah, and he used to play cricket. He played for big thing in Port of Spain and down in St. Mary's. Teacher Ralph Mutu. He said, "You're a demon bowler, man." So I got to understand what that meant later on. There's guys like Ambrose, Malcolm Marshall, them kind of guys.
Where's Hall, Dennis Lilly,
Dennis Lilly,
the pace bowlers talking about.
Alan Donald, all in.
They make batsmen quake in their shoes.
That's the kind of stuff. Now, the cricket itself, what you just said about the commentary and the game helped me in broadcast because cricket is not just a skill game; it's one of the most highly skilled game on the planet. It's a psychological game. Starts with, then skill and fitness, and then the other components come together. When you're a cricket captain of especially England, Australia, you're second to the Prime Minister. The weight of the country lies on you, man. They don't play. It's like Clifton, you represent, we want results and that kind of stuff. So the game of cricket helped me form into a different character. And the way I talk and my swagger. A guy walked into the pitch with a bat and he meant business like Vivian Richards. And a guy coming to bowl and that's like Dennis Lilly, he had that swagger. I'm gonna take your blocks off, baby. Yeah.
When I first saw him at the Antigua cricket grounds, Dennis Lilly, the Australians, we used to love when the Australians come because they have a kind of West Indian feel to them. They're pretty cool and smooth and easy, and people be taking bottles of rum for them on the field and so on, especially the guys who are close to the boundaries and so on. So it always was a fascinating time for me.
Yes.
So cricket then, the whole idea of the announcers, and as we were growing up, for instance, the West Indians team at the time with the 3 W's and Gary Sobers and so on ruled the roost, right?
Right.
So what did that do for your sense of pride, knowing that we beat the man at his own game,
right?
Especially when we beat England
And ruled for 15 years. No other sports entity has ever done that. Unbeaten for 15 years. West Indian cricket, the smallest island nation in the world, chain of islands. What that did, it brought proudness for us. Man. It brought pride. It brought we walk different, we talk different, because people had us like inferior little monkeys running up coconut trees and mango trees. That's how the British and the colonial powers had us. And we had to come out of that. The cricket commentary I like, because I like the way they talk and how they express the dialogue, helped me in broadcast. You're listening to Kool Breeze is coming to you live from the broadcast facilities in downtown Toronto. Glad to have you here in the Kool Breeze stratosphere. Oh yeah. Apologize for breaking transmission. We will be back momentarily.
A pause for the cause, right? We'll take a pause for the cause.
So I like the British for that. Their commentary was off the chain.
Yes.
And that helped me, and I listened to these guys, how they were tactical and maneuver words and how they break things down strategically for the audience to understand. So I did that with music. Yeah. Now the music of Trinidad, that was the second part. I missed out on the last one because the train, that Japanese high-speed train of information was coming at such a high speed. We had to do a part 2. Trinidad has the greatest show on earth. Carnival. We have Calypso. We have Kaiso.
Steel pan.
We have Steel Pan. We have Soca. We have Chutney. We have Bangra. We have Rapso. We have Tassa, Extempo, brass bands, and the place was flooded with DJs in the 60s and 70s, man. So Trinidad it's just like a melting pot. All the islands used to come over and hang out, some stay, some go. It was like, they used to call it Little America. The music was just totally off the chain, man. DJs and everything we had Rennie B, they had a guy, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name escapes me, but man, they had voices, man.
What about their personalities? Because I was certainly growing up fascinated by it. I know, for instance, in Philadelphia, there was a guy named Dap Sugar Willie who actually was almost like a performer. That his rhyme scheme, he was almost like rap way before rap, and he was a local hero in Philadelphia. I forgot his actual name, but Dap Sugar Willie was his name.
Right.
So that there were individual characters like that in Antigua that I really gravitated to. So who were some of the cats on radio then?
Man, there was a white boy in Trinidad called Jim Sutherland. If you never saw him, you thought he was black.
Jim Sutherland.
Oh, Jim Sutherland experience.
TNT Born?
Oh, yes, man.
TNT Born.
Rennie Bishop, Dave Alcock. All these cats, they had so many different broadcasters down there that made us proud, man. That's why I wanted to be in radio. And when I came over here, I heard the guys on BLK.
Chucky T in the morning.
The whole gamut of Byron Pitts. Gary Byrne, all these guys, Herb Hamlet, they made it big over at
Frankie Crocker, New York City, and the whole New York City, man. The 2 stations, AM and FM, in Western New York will blow away anything else in the rest of the United States. Out of Little Nickel City, Buffalo, New York.
These 2 radio stations, they were like, one was like a hydrogen bomb, the other one like a nuclear power of music coming to you.
Drop that atomic bomb of funk on me, baby.
Yeah. So radio was a beautiful time, 60s, 70s, 80s, somewhere in the 90s, and when we hit the 2000s, things got a little different. The whole dynamics of this stuff changed up.
Ghetto blaster culture back in the day when you had to you got a big ass ghetto blaster leaning from one side and you're booming music like a personal radio station walking down the street. Talk to me, if you will, Breeze, about ghetto blaster culture.
Ghetto blaster, to some people, might just see an N-word with a box. They have it as an N-word with a box. It's all we had growing up. God, we had the music. So these are the things that kept us out of trouble, and they're associated with Negroes and Latinos.
Actually, Latino, I was just about to say, don't forget our Spanish brethren.
Yeah, yeah. So it had a derogatory term that came with it. So that's all. But the Europeans made that first in Philips of the Netherlands, my brother, and marketed here, and they saw all the thing take off. And the Japanese say, "I want a piece of that market too."
Everybody was into it after a while, weren't they?
Clifton, 1976 to 1985. Okay, people had them. I had my boy Mouse Kenneth Mark. I had a JVC RC 550 with a 12-inch and a horn, and a boom, 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 and the electronic and the Hitachi and the Panasonic, Sharp, Sony, Philips, all kinds. Telefunken had one with 8 woofers, 5-inch, all kinds of craziness. But here's the thing: what I like about the Ghetto Blaster, you can go down to a basketball court or park or somewhere somebody liming. And that I remember 1979. I came in 76. And Herbie Hancock came out with a song, Ready or Not. Was a badass. And you got gow gow gow. Bum 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 bum. Where's the man with the big guitar? Wanna hold you high. Bum 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 bum. And he was on that sequential and the moog, and he was just going nuts. And here, boom, bum 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 bum. And then you go down the other street and you hear another guy. Boom, boom, boom. You ring my bell. Ring my bell. You go to another pub. You hear it? Jingling, jingling. I like what you're doing to me. Jingling, jingling.
It's like being in a big amphitheater where every move you make, every steps you make, it's another wall of sound coming through. So they be dueling ghetto blasters. Dude,
but that Herbie Hancock was so frantic. It just took you off the chain. The energy came. Gow, 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 gow. Gow, 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 gow. The man with the guitar gonna get you high, and the music.
And to me, right, it's almost as if that technology was developed specifically for funk.
Yes, bass and drum. Yeah,
it was totally bass and drum and funk. And
absolutely.
Of course, it was also, as much as some people might deride it, it was a hell of a status symbol.
It was. Here's the other thing people forget. The Ghetto Blaster was instrumental in the spoken word.
Go ahead. Speak about that.
Spoken word, the impact these guys go in clubs and say the poetry and prose and the whole bit. That evolved from the fashion, the fancy cars, how you dress, how you walk. The Ghetto Blaster was part of that culture, the hip hop movement. You don't hear about that. You don't hear these guys jump on the wagon or this funk. The Ghetto Blaster and funk. Was the father.
Because it was your portable sound system, and as time went on, the technology some came with a microphone.
Thank you very much.
We had one. I had one with a microphone where we as young poets would go into Kensington Market and have that, put out a little hat for donations and so on, and that was our portable PA system, right?
Had
a little microphone, and we hold on to that microphone and we kicking it.
Man, every Tom, Dick and Harry had a blaster. Because you better be small or you go out on the street or not, you have one in your home. Because you wanted your own personal entertainment.
Absolutely, because again, it was portable too, right? Not like the Technics and all of the stuff.
And then the Wi-Fi thing that's all tactile and with these little things that you just plug in and you get the internet. All that's good. But we had the real, raw, organic, rich product.
Speaking of organic, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Clifton Joseph, sitting in for Kool Breeze on the Kool Breeze Experience Show, brought to you by Jackie Vibes Radio. For those of you who might not know, this is part 2 of an interview I did with Breeze a little while ago. If you want to check part 1, you can go to Jackie Vibes Radio and check Breeze on social media, and of course you can go to Kool Breeze YouTube channel. Breeze, how does it feel? I've done a number of interviews with you where you're the interviewer. I've listened to numerous interviews you've done with all kind of personalities.
Thank you.
How does it feel being on the other side of the divide, as it were, where you're being interviewed?
Well, it's like it's a sports match. Cricket, basketball, soccer. You come into my home, you beat me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, this is a rematch. Interplay, come on, let me get my turn, sir.
Yes,
Yeah, so
indeed.
there's a balance because I love to hear people's story all over the globe. I don't care what it is, sports, music, blah, 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 poetry, dub poetry, you name it. But they gotta hear mine because I have something that I bring to the table that a lot of people may not touch out there. And this is where the electronic information comes, like they say, the pen is mightier than the sword.
Indeed.
Now the video
is mightier than the
thank you very
nuclear bomb.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was my deal. Clifton, the reason I gravitated to video is that I saw what they did with the blues music. Throw it in the sewer system, garbage system. It was great music. It's the mother of all American music. The British took it and recycled it back to the Americans. Led Zeppelin, Mick Jagger, and all them guys.
The whole British versions of the British invasion,
which was a good thing. So B.B. King and all these cats started to put a penny in their wallet. It was good, and the blues started to revitalize. Because the problem with the blues music, people said somewhere in the 70s, it was slave music. I wanted no part of that. They wanted to move into the soul and ballads and move forward. It's not slave, it's music too. You hear about our pain and suffering and our happiness, and it was a mixture of everything.
Everything, yeah.
So I didn't want the artists in Toronto to fall like the blues. That's why I spent a lot of money on video equipment, because I wanted those stories when I got into Radio Region to roll tape and transcend their stories globally. Everybody I interview at Radio Region and Jackie Vibes Radio is uploaded there.
Up in the dirt. How did you describe your own interview style? So for instance, I assume you didn't go to school as a journalist where you learned techniques.
Self-taught.
Yeah, so so if you rewind me back to maybe the beginnings.
Hold on, okay.
I'll stick a pin in that, go ahead.
Yeah, so I like it. I had liked the style of Charlie Rose.
The journalists and CBS back in the time, and PBS.
Yeah, I like the touch of Oprah, a little bit of this. I like the BBC, and then South African broadcast system. I like their style, so I incorporated Trinidad and Tobago.
A little bit of that, like a peel out.
Exactly.
A little bit of this, little bit of that.
Trevor McDonald's brother, who lives in England, he's knighted now, Sir.
So whatever.
McDonald. He had a style in Trinidad, man. I remember as a kid. So I take little pieces of that and made up my own pie. I am not trained institutionally I just learned my own thing and created my own style. The same thing with music, how I present and how I interview people. I didn't want to be like anyone else. I wanted my own unique style.
So of course in the beginning, it's by trial and error, trial by fire as well. If you can remember some of the earlier faux pas you might have made, early little bit mistakes in interviews.
There was plenty.
Give me some of them and how you were able to get over them.
Before I got into radio, bought my mic, mixer, play around, do my little DJ thing on the side. And one day I was hanging out by Sunshine Sound and Lightning.
A legendary sound system and now supplier of all things electronics.
And Sunshine Sound, the man talk raw and real, the man say, you have a mic, just go in your yard, man, and just go practice, man. Practice the Ras. So how else you gonna get good? So I did that in. I used to go and practice. I used to go on YouTube and watch all these guys, how they. Then I look at the broadcast questions and formalize it to my style and how the order I wanted to, the pecking order, what I want to ask people, make them comfortable with broadcast. So I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I used to come home and decompress and dissect, analyze, psychoanalyze,
absolutely,
break down.
Absolutely necessary for you to make to the next movement.
Yeah. So I used to go home and break down, learn from my mistake, correct that, fix this. The interview questions, and that's how, the more you do it and the more you look at your past mistakes, that's how you're going to get better.
Indeed. Now of course I was trained as a journalist. So I worked with, I remember at the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, for those of you outside of Canada, Now we used to go to workshops and so on,
Right.
where they would teach us how to deal with terrible interviews, how to deal with corporations, etc., who
Right.
don't want you to ask the tough questions.
Right.
So they tell us, okay, you got 12 questions, but you really aren't only interested in the answer for 3.
Yeah.
So the first 3 or 4 would be soft questions.
Yes, break them down. Break the ice, the icebreakers.
Yes.
Get them comfortable.
Get them
and so on. I learned that by myself.
Bop them with the final question. Now, at the time, I had a friend who was working with a big corporation, Deloitte, and she was going through the same similar training, but from the other side, where those corporate guys will take over the interview saying, Breeze, I know you want to ask me some questions about the train derailment. Did we make some mistakes? Yes, we did.
Yes.
Are we making our best efforts to make it up to the general public and our consumers? Of course we are. Are we going to get an inquiry going so we can do better? Yes, we are. So by the way, they asked 3 questions and answered 3 questions. You haven't chimed in, right?
Yes.
So
People talk.
So yeah, so I really wanted to know too, Breeze, like given you doing it, how do you deal with questions that might be difficult for your guests? As friendly as you might, I'd be with them, but let's say the last album didn't do very fine, or there was a show they had that they got booed at or so on. How do you introduce things that might not be as complimentary of your guests? Do you sweep them under the rug? Do you just mention them, or how do you engage?
I would for example, a question like that, I would ask that in a diplomatic manner, softer tone. Your albums, that particular album didn't do, why is that? Blah, blah, and they would explain. But I never wanted to get into an interview where you dig in for dirt. I leave that for the other guys. Or you ask some questions and the interview goes south, man. So I'm out of here, and I never got to that stage. But I had tough, good questions. People would say, "Oh man." They would be sweating in the studio, but they answered them because I made them comfortable, did the icebreakers, all that kind of stuff. And you set them up, man, real nice, dear buddy. You set them up real, that they didn't even realize it. And boom!
Hit them with that. So how would you describe, if you had to put in words then, because I mean we broached it, touched on little bits of it here and there, but your interview style is what then?
My interview, it's a Kool Breeze experience. It's an experience you have to see. Because I took snippets from the masters, put it into my own. I'm not trained in college and workshops and things like that. I went and studied, read books, watched stuff on internet online, and I made notes on everything I do. I write, and so it internalize and see how I wanted to make my movement of broadcasts better and very unique than everybody else. People look at everybody else interview and they say, well, you know, that Breeze, he's really, different style, very unorthodox, very neutral, very, different style, man. Look, if you want change, you got to be the change to be the world. You got to make things happen. Don't wait for the other guys and 100 years past, the same thing. I wanted a style that just, even with the way I play music, the way I sound on the radio, or the way I interview, the way I record it, this and that. You said in the last interview, some of these interviews, they give top-notch guys 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they stink with music, and I don't do that stuff, man. I keep it, because I want to hear all your story. I'll keep it rich, raw, and organic.
Because that's what you hear criticism sometimes of people saying that make your interviews short, 5-10 minutes, because people ain't got the attention span. I say, hold on, that's some real stupidity. That's some real.
That's corporate business. They want the marketing and blah blah. Look, it's all good. If you're putting that on TV, yes, it has to be shortened to an extent where
people watch a whole movie. They watch a 1 hour show.
I do not want to watch an interview of Quincy Jones 10-15 minutes. I want an hour and a half. Give me 2 hours. Because they got stories to tell.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know Quincy, for instance, played the trumpet with the Billy Eckstine band.
Thank you very much, sir.
Vaughn and some big friend. You couldn't say shit against Quincy Jones and let Frank Sinatra find out about it.
I'm not doing you justice. Dubs poet at large, Clifton Joseph, 10 minutes. I'm wasting more. We wasting each other's time. We're not marketing properly, in my view. When people sit down, oh, I didn't know Clifton did that. He came from here, do this, he did all this, and he was part of the Dub Poets movement. Oh, okay. Sit down and watch, man. So that attention span business sometimes is a poor excuse, because you walk out in the middle of a movie. Which are the bad of now. You walk out after you pay your money.
Take some.
You know what I'm saying? You switch on your TV. You just walk out. Okay.
Good point, baby. Good point.
For example, years ago I was having a romantic interlude moment.
You ain't gonna leave that, are you?
I did.
Oh gosh.
But hold on. I went and made a ham sandwich. Meat cutlets dropped on the ground. I drank a beer. I came back, and I said, "Honey, where were we?"
You're terrible. You're terrible.
And
You're
the lady
terrible.
said, "You are some crazy crack nut, but I love you, baby." You know what I'm saying?
You're very terrible.
Hey, I'm the bad boy of radio. The hip is stripped, but I'm worst, I'm best.
Tell me something though, baby. This is a question I gotta ask you, because there are different types of DJs, right?
Yeah, right.
You specialize like a radio DJ, right?
Broadcaster.
And there are the club DJs who,
Big
generally
difference.
speaking, get more publicity, and they're almost like rock stars.
Knock yourself out.
They go internationally with just their turntable with 1 million songs on it, and they get big time receptions. Now, okay,
Knock yourself out.
they move a crowd, right? So they get the vibe, so they can take the temperature of the room scene. Okay, this tune is going to follow that tune, and that crowd up there like this tune, so they kind of get the vibe. Now, they're very famous.
Yeah.
They're very famous. How envious are you of them?
I am
And
not.
Two, how do you then get that vibe? Because they got a visceral room temperature. You are
Good for
over
them.
the internet.
Good for them. Good for them.
Come on, Breeze, but you must have thought about it and say, what?
Probably when I just got into radio. But my grandmother taught me, God bless her soul, Miss Rona Hills, envy no man for what he has. She says the Bible says, blessed are the man and the child who has his own. So if I see you pull up with a Rolls Royce and a fancy suit and you big house in Richmond Hill, I shake your hand. I say, Clifton, my brother, I'm proud for you. But I ain't gonna go hate no who that N-word man is. No, I'm glad for your success. I'm not that I don't have that kind of hate in my soul. If I'm pissed off at you for something, it may last 10-15 minutes and we back drinking a beer, man. That's my spirit. Okay, them DJ guys, I applaud what they do. Make your money, knock yourself out. Some of them names on Billboard charts and bus shelters. They have egos bigger than Trump. That's their business. Sometimes when you get these guys on the radio, man, they think they're bigger than the radio.
Oh yeah.
No one is bigger than the radio. When you feel you're bigger than the radio, at Jackie Vibes or any time to get out. Or else I'll put you out.
There's only one diva in the room, and radio is it.
Yes, this Jackie Vibes is a machine. And you ain't bigger than that because you bring in more fans than... Look, I look at attitude. You could bring me 10,000 and a bad attitude. I said, Clifton, I'd rather you leave here and go to another network. Because it brings that toxic element that I don't need. I'll take a guy and train him and let him, who's passionate and wants to do radio, than deal with these massive egos. Because some of them are cool, but some of them they're bigger than rock stars.
Well, they're treated like stars, essentially, right? And
but they're not rock stars, man. They just, look, come on, man.
But how do you breathe? How do you then replicate that live temperature? You can take the temperature of the room, you can see if they're getting wilted, and you can funk them up with some tune, 10 tunes earlier. How on radio, where you're behind a screen, someone is in Botswana listening to you over their transistor radio, their computer, how do you take that temperature of the room to, or what's your version of, how do you know what the audience wants next? Which tune follows which tune? When to shift from funk to jazz to slow tune?
Okay.
Is it just you, or do you take the temperature somehow of your audience?
I take the temperature, yes. But
how?
You have to understand something. I'm not in front of a crowd trying to win you dancing. Radio, people forget, you can play just about anything. It's just how you hold that audience too. With if I'm doing music, I'm not playing one genre. I'll start off nice with some sexy songs of soul. We get in a little dance, then we get some heavy funk, and maybe I'll come some sexy, some jazzy, eclectic grooves. So you mix, and because I train my audience to expand your horizon, open your mind.
How do you know you're not alienating those? For instance, if somebody might like funk, and then you come with jazz, and they might not be so familiar with jazz. How do you not know?
Okay.
Or how do you know that you're not alienating them?
I'm not saying that some don't drop off, but they come back.
Ah, okay.
Because I see the Globe Revolver, where they're coming from, and they will text me on Facebook, good show, man, or the iPad when I'm broadcasting.
Okay,
they correspond.
Before, not to cut you there, before you get to that technology where you get yourself really armed with interactive tunes, so that you're just there now, you're starting out, you're just there.
Yeah.
So you just play.
Let's play.
And then you hope that you are getting the feedback, like somebody will say through comments, this and that. Do you wait for that validation?
I don't wait for any of that validation, because I know training from my crowd from Radio Region, they tune in because they want to hear something good. They want to hear good music that they're not getting in their own country. Okay, even before we had the Globe Revolver, I knew I had a crowd there.
And the Globe Revolver is that's
it's spinning on the flags, so when you tune in. So, and then the phone started ringing. Musician starts calling. One guy tell a guy, another guy. Okay, I want to interview
the Global Village, as it were.
Global Village. So, radio, radio is theater of the mind. Think about it.
That phrase sounds very familiar.
It's very it's a lot of depth to it. Radio is theater of the mind. You can play with the audience however you want. Not everybody, you go on radio, everybody got to dance. No, you can sit down. That sexy sounds of soul, man. I never heard that. The words, the lyric, the beat, and you get into a groove, takes him to a time and play soul in cosmic space. Or I play something eclectic. I never heard that kind of groove. And people would say, what is that? I learned that. I listen to other people too, and I incorporate this type of groove. So I used to archive, I still archive all my shows when I was at Radio there. People would and I would see the hits past show. If you miss a show, people would be tuning in. I would put a podcast. One day I put up country and western. I say, no, who's going to listen to that?
Half of the Caribbean, for instance.
1, 2, 3, 4 years passed by, 3,400. 600 and something people tuned in to that particular podcast. Funk, soca, reggae, they tune in. So you don't know
the musical tastes of people.
And when you do it, and how you do it.
Because a lot of people, as you mentioned,
remember the baseball movie? Build it.
And they'll come.
No.
Build
Play it, and they will listen.
So, I was going to mention that, for instance, with country and western, I only discovered this here in Toronto, that I'd go to some Guyanese parties, some Jamaican parties and so on, and they end up playing Ace Cannon versus Foster Papetti.
Yes.
Big.
King Curtis.
Skeeter Davis, all of those people.
But that's what we grew up on.
But back to that earlier point you were making about, here's this divide. Both are valid to some degree. Some say, like the mainstream, give the people what they want, which is a bit of an assumption. They say they need 5 minutes, they can't take 50. And then there is the other side of that divide, will give the people what they need. Where do you fall in that divide?
Okay, here's that divide. Jackie Vibes Radio have a uniqueness. Channel 1, Kelvin Huggins himself, the president and CEO, plays soca, calypso, chutney, gospel, reggae, okay, country and western. So that alone, you got to fall into one of them categories or two.
Yeah, unless you're a piece of ice.
Thank you.
And you will melt.
When you come to channel 3, you're getting Cool Breeze, funk, more funk, eclectic groove, sexy songs, so Afrobeat. You're getting rap soul, you're getting jazz, you're getting blues, 15 genres. So tell me where you don't fall in.
Big. And then of course,
so you must be on a different planet if you can't and we playing the creme de la creme.
Go
of
through
genre.
some of the others. Go through some of the others like Jackie Mason out of England and some of the other
Oh,
people that
Paul
Paul Mason side.
Dr. Mambo.
Mm-hmm.
He brings jazz every Friday from 5 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear jazz.
All genres.
Break down.
Mm-hmm.
All genres.
Mm-hmm.
Break down when you can understand. Dr. Mambo. Dwight Brewster.
Mm-hmm.
He's from New York. One of the broadcasters. King Dread out of New York brings independent and funk and things on a Thursday. Roger Day brings Zouk, Compa, Kizomba, and that group music. Creme de la creme, man. You know Roger had his boy. He's been around. He's been on 6 different networks. I got him on Jockey Vibes.
Nice.
Paul Mason bringing his stuff out of the UK. Marcus O'Connell from the UK bringing their vibe. Tony Peters, Frank Tui, and I'll tell you something about Paul Mason. I was interviewing Diane Marsh from the UK, incredible voice. People thought she was black. She had a bunch of blow people away, man. He was driving through London. He said, I gotta tune into the Kool Breeze that Saturday morning, plugging his phone into the Wi-Fi. Poof. Turn up his decks wide, people looking at it like, what the hell is Kool Breeze all over London? What is that there, mate?
The traveling musical multiplayer.
Yeah, I love that. And he's one of the guys that, who interviewed you as well.
Absolutely,
Very dynamic guy. We're 2 of the best female voices in this country, Diva D and Lady Funkalicious. They're totally off the chain. The Disco Queen, Paula, she sings as well. Incredible vocal dance type groove. Will Thomas, Mixmaster out of New York. I don't want to leave out anybody.
It's an exhaustive list, but they're all available on Jockey Vibes.
That's correct. The Kool Breeze is I bring Funk Wednesday from 8 to 11 p.m. Funk from the Mothership. I bring the Eclectic Groove, Independent, and Sexy Sounds of Soul Friday, 7 to 11. Sometimes we go till 1 o'clock. Saturday morning, the Kool Breeze experience is a kitchen sink of music. Jazz Funk Masterpieces 2 to 6 p.m. on a Sunday. So, where that individual doesn't fit in, I can't help him. I can't help him, brother. I did my best to reach out to the masses. I spread my wings as far as possible.
The flavor of ice cream hasn't been developed yet for that particular person, because vanilla, chocolate, rum and raisin, you throw all of the flavors at them. The 32 Baskin and Robbins commercial, and they still don't like it. So you've done your part.
I've done my part. Plus helping the community with a voice. To me, that is one of the best things I ever did in terms of community work. Videos, the stories, the music, the interviews. They get the voice, they get the interview, they hear a song they call in, you don't get better than that, Clifton.
What is the difference between, because it seems to me when you say internet radio, there are at least 2 types that I know. One is where individual stations that actually have a physical plant basically just stream their program. Then there are places like you who doesn't have a physical plant necessarily, and you have individual programs, and you have a playlist, you have a set list that different DJs at different times. You see any essential difference between the 2?
Okay, yes. The one with a home, like a university radio station or whatever, as brick and mortar.
Yes.
Money has to be paid for that. And if you have an antenna doing FM and
your license too?
License.
The license.
So there's a lot that entails in that. The cost of operation.
Yeah.
And things could go down if funds don't come in.
Or if you break the rules and regulations.
Yes. As compared to what we do, Clifton, is it's easy. Jockey Vibes has licensing for all of this. Jockey Vibes has SOCAN, ASCAP, BMI, COT, that's the Caribbean. So he can play whatever he wants without being interrupted by the powers that be that controls music. And he renews his license every year. Yeah.
So there's
and at a lower cost.
Yes, and more freedom.
Freedom of operation, yes.
What about the whole business financing part of radio. So, for instance, with the brick and mortar stations, like the campus stations, for instance, they will do the corporate stations will got their ads,
Marketing,
their sales,
funding.
marketing, sales department. The similarly to some degree, college campus radio, independent radio, but then independent radio will have the attached thing where they do fundraising, where X amount of weeks per year their listeners come in and help fund them. How does Jackie Vibes Radio make money, or is it immaterial?
It has no. It has a donation channel like every other internet radio station. You can pay by MX, MasterCard, or Visa, or PayPal. Musicians, fans, they send whatever they can. And Jack goes to Jackie Vibes Radio. That take care of keeping the lights on. Broadcasters don't get any money from that. We spend money on our own equipment. Yeah, so every little bit helps. We're looking to get more sponsors slowly, but we take care of the bulk of this cost.
Okay, so right now it's up. Your main concentration is music, the musical
Fans.
diversity, vibration, satisfying the fan base, the music base, your listeners, and how that happens. Breeze, how do you define success?
Love that question. Clifton, I love that question, brother. What is success to the Kool Breeze? Success is perseverance. Success is risk. Success is having a plan. Success is discipline. Success is humbleness. Success is appreciation. Success is peace of mind and health and prosperity. Success is taking care of your family, food and shelter, security. I have the utmost respect for a man who works his ass off to keep his shelter over his family's head. Success is the unpredictable moments that make life extraordinary.
I see that British background of yours is coming.
Yes. Success is bringing happiness and joy to the audience, local to global. Success is financial literacy. Success is building generational wealth. Success is about metrics and investing for the future, building generational wealth. Us people have to learn to lease when you have land, not sell out things that our kids don't have, things to hold on to, helping them to grow. Success is leadership, having your word, striving to make your word count because of the confidence and you guarded and trust that you built. My grandfather was a businessman, shoemaker. He raised 11 children in Trinidad and Tobago, and he always says to all of his children, man stands for management. Man stands for management. I live and die by that, because if you don't manage your business, how you think about it? You can't manage your own home. You're gonna manage a corporate business. Late, you're disorganized, you're discombobulated. No, success is, so this is success to me. Success is giving back to the community. Not just talking that smack, giving back. Yeah, enriching. Let's build, help the others grow. Come the ones who can make it come up to show them a brighter day.
And success in relation to music and Jackie Vibes and radio in particular. What is success in the radio scene?
I use the same formula that I just expounded. I'd use as bringing fans, networking. People tuning in, I tell my fans, hey, bring me some fans, put on your Facebook page, come to Jackie Vibes Radio. I do the metrics and the biometrics, monthly, yearly, see who's coming in, what's coming in, and the broadcasters, who they bring as well, as a compounded effort to build a radio station, and you're building yourself as well. Yeah, it's all a numbers game at the end of the day. Yeah, but it's all about enlightening people, man. Yeah.
Well, let's deal with another subject matter, Jay. A friend of mine who used to be in the jazz scene in Toronto, moved back to the States, to Alabama specifically, but he comes through town once or twice a year.
Right.
And he was saying that when he looks at the jazz scene in Toronto, he sees apartheid. He sees that there's a jazz station,
Yes.
Jazz FM here.
Yes.
He listens to it. He goes out to some of the festivals, the TD Bank Jazz Festival just happened. He goes to the clubs and so on, and he sees a hierarchy of hurt that the white musicians, he says, jazz musicians are at the top, executives, and as he gets further down, that's when he sees the brothers and sisters, right?
Okay.
What is your, now, clearly jazz music came from black culture,
Absolutely.
black American culture
Absolutely.
specifically,
Yeah.
and but it's colorblind in a way that, you know, others have excelled in it, so it isn't just a black thing as such, but where do you stand in the whole idea of
All right.
apartheid in jazz music?
First, I would say, Clifton, fuck up apartheid.
Yeah, yes.
I want no part of this nonsense because it's parts of white supremacy. White supremacy is terrorism. It has terrorized black people for 400 years. I did an interview with Dr. John Satchma Menan. He go back 30,000 years with history, black history. He's a musician, lawyer, educator. He wrote for Muhammad Ali speeches. The list goes, musician, singer, sound just like Louis Armstrong. So those kind of demonic behavior to suppress another race, and nobody has been suppressed like the black folks. No other race on the planet. 400 years our land been taken care of all these redlining and lynching and lynch mob. I don't want to get into too much of that, but they bring that element to lynch our musicians in this town. Okay, but the apartheid thing, you bring a white musician, I don't like to compare, to a black jazz musician, he will smoke him. You've seen it.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking, there's good, phenomenal. I interview a lot of white musicians, and I don't like to compare music like that. But when somebody backs me up against the wall with these kind of issues, I gotta come clean.
Because it is a slippery conversation,
It
right?
is,
And
really is.
you are being a bit slippery-ish, Breeze, I must confess. You know what I'm saying? So, because what it is, it's a difficult conversation,
It is,
right?
it really is.
Because I'll tell you something. I was listening to the jazz station here in Toronto, Jazz FM, one Sunday.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I didn't know there were so many white musicians all over, white jazz musicians, because the playlist, and I basically audited them and went back over that 24-hour period and checked the playlist, right? So here's what I discovered, at least for that one day.
Yeah.
They'd play like a Louis Armstrong,
Yeah.
a Miles Davis,
Yeah.
then 5 white performers.
Yeah.
And then maybe a Duke Ellington,
Yeah.
then another 5 white performers.
Yeah.
So what happens as you go down the playlist,
Yeah.
you see
I know.
that the white musicians outnumber the black performers
That is true.
by 4 or
That is-
5 to 1, right?
On my jazz station, I changed that game, brother. It's predominantly black. I have white musicians in my mix. Jerry Mulligan, Art Pepper.
Of course.
Bill-
Bill Evans.
I don't give a shit about black and white with music. I don't want to get into that kind of nonsense. As a black person trying to open up the scope for people who open up musical bondage. I don't want to get into them kind of thing because suppression is not my bag. I'm about freedom of expression. I would interview anybody, black, white, Chinese, who you name it. I get them on the station. I play their music. I'm not about this race records where you see a black person face on the 45 back in the day. We need to get out of these things because it's part of white supremacy, and white supremacy is terrorism. And it was made to suppress black people. You know why they had the right to bear arms? It's to steal black people's land. But they tell you it's to protect their cattle and sheep. That's bullshit. It's historically, it's in the books. But, when people start to use a great art form, a great gift that God gave us, music, even sung by the angels, man, made everybody happy. And that's the way he wanted it. We take it to manipulate people. Who made more money out of black music? White powers that be. The mafia record.
Fight the powers that be.
The mafia who
Fight the powers
controls
that be.
all the music, all recording, from recording studios to this to that to records to booking of concert. They made the money and sent all the kids to school, buy the big houses and cars. And all these artists who made the money. How could a man take 90% of your body of work and give you 10%?
Yep, and do it so seemingly legally.
Yes, that's the problem. I hope to God when Judgment Day come, Clifton, God start to whip some asses.
Yes, indeed.
And you going in a different deep pile of fire, a different heat for the shit you've been doing.
Some blows before you go
take
down
some
into that
blows.
heat.
Yeah, it's horrible to watch. It's to how you're doing this to music, you're doing it to education, you're doing it to housing, you're doing it to radio. You remember the time we couldn't even get a radio station because you have to justify a million things before they even look at your radius, your request to get a radio station.
Yes.
And when you got it, they were watching you like a hawk. Because they know the power of dialogue, the word. Radio is one of the most powerful things.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Because the other side of that question, as difficult as it too, it's as difficult as the other one.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so to some people, is that back in the day in Toronto,
Right.
you'd go to a jazz event,
Right.
and you could identify the 20 black people in the audience. Right?
Yes.
It's changed a lot. Yes. Significantly, but maybe not so much in some cases.
Right.
Then it gets even worse, Breeze, when you go to a blues show.
Yes.
Then the numbers go down to about 6 black folks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then also in other genres of music, I remember being Lee Scratch Perry, the great dub artist out of Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
At a club with 2,200 people, there were less than 100 black folks.
Right.
But there were a bunch of younger white folks there.
Yeah.
Speak to me about seemingly the self-alienation of black audiences from certain genres of black music. I'm talking specifically of blues and jazz, and to some degrees some elements of reggae and others.
I watch many documentaries on these things. I have them. The Story of the Blues by Martin Scorsese. There's about 4 or 5 discs. You gotta see it, man. I have the jazz collection with the Wells. This is the guy who did the thing on the war. You know the guy.
Yeah, the big documentary and his brother
he did something on jazz, 12 volumes. Okay. I sat down with a lady, a friend of mine, his mom, one day, and we were talking music. She says, look at this. She lived in the States. We don't even go to the own music that our own people made, jazz and blues, because again, it had to do with a lot of colonialism, self-hate, all that kind of stuff. Jazz music is one of the highest forms of our Negro expression. Art form. Our classical music is black classical music. The blues is the mother of all music. The gospel. So we alienate ourselves for that, because I find in the Caribbean, Jamaicans stick to reggae. Trinis, soca, oh, jump up. I'm a Trini. I don't want to hear this thing all day long. I don't want to hear reggae, and I listen to it. I love it. I gotta listen to a mix. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to hear some jazz. I want to hear some classical music. I want to hear some blues, and then we slowly work up the ladder in terms of the beats per minute. So the height of the day, then you build up the soca and the reggae and kind of thing. So that is our fault. Somewhere in the 70s, people cleaned down south. There was slave music because the way they were brainwashed and things like that, and they just walked away from it. But then when Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf moved to Chicago from Mississippi, clubs were just, you couldn't get in them clubs. Band was smoking line outside. White folks were going, black folks going, rotten Chicago. They make money, revitalize itself. Big Jagger came over, he worshipped Muddy Waters. Come into Chess Studios one time. He said, what? He said, who's that mate? He said, Muddy. Slinging paint in the studio. He couldn't believe it. He said, my idol. He says, I couldn't believe it. That's a weird thing, but you have to give Chess, that Polish guy, Adolf Rudolph Chess, credit for revitalizing guys like Johnny Hammond and that black label out of somewhere in Chicago.
Oh yeah, Chess. You mean
Malaco and all them other labels. You gotta give them credits.
Yeah, CTI with Van Gelder. Trojan Records in London in terms of reggae and so on. So it's like there have been a number of interventions by non-black folks into pushing the music forward. But Breeze,
Yeah.
it seems to me as if you still didn't answer the question.
Yeah,
fully.
sorry. Yeah.
That what is it that it seems seemingly that we ourselves alienate ourselves from the music, because either we are insular in terms of we like just one form of music, which is related to where we come from usually, and that maybe institutionally we're not learning it in school.
That's
and
part of
we-
it.
We, in the terms of the popular culture, you're not hearing as much of it on mainstream radio and so on. So, are we not doing enough job of research and propagating our own culture?
That's part of it too. But you have to remember, it's up to the individual to expand your mind. If you come to this country and want to eat fried chicken, hamburgers, hot dogs, and pizza, and that's, let me eat a steak, now man, let me try different culture, let me do this, let me filet mignon, some lobster, seafood dinner. I just want to be in that zone. You're gonna, like a lot of people come to Brooklyn doing the same thing, and they just stay in that cocoon. That me, I always wanted to grow. Did anyone force me to listen to these things? No. I took it on myself, and that's why I wanted the fans to experience what I was feeling. I want them to grow in their mind with music. I want them to grow financially. I want them to grow socially. What was happening? What was going on? What is capable at their hands? Jackie Vibes, they have a mechanism in place for them. Yeah.
So you are educated then. You're
Self-educated.
and also an educator in terms of spreading
Precisely.
a wider palette,
Right.
not just food-wise, but a
That's-
musical palette too.
Precisely. I can't listen to one thing all the time. No, I gotta have a mix. That's the way I am wired. I just don't want to see our people just doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I'm a dynamic person, man. That's the way I am, and I want people to. I want to open up their eyes from what they've been blinded with. And they've been blinded with the music, but nobody's holding them back from not listening to jazz or blues. Yeah.
What about I'm caught between three questions,
Just
so let me decide. Let me decide you one
Process.
steamboat, two steamboat, three steamboat. Let me
It's boiling in the studio.
refocus. Yeah, it's hot in
Burning
here.
up in the studio, baby.
It is hot in here. The relationship between politics and music, like let's say in the 1970s and so on, when soul was making its transition to funk. James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, right? Where there was so-called struggle music, where there was a lot of that kind of confluence between politics and the music. Some people say one influenced the other, or the other influenced the other,
Which
right?
is true. Yeah.
So, and I know you are a big aficionado of that version of the music, right?
Right.
And that I remember Toomey had a saying when there was a mass crossover of black folks. I remember Lionel Richie when he moved from the Commodores to Solar and so on.
Whitney Houston.
Yes. So and Toomey had a phrase saying a lot of black musicians are crossing over, but a lot of them have a difficult time crossing black.
Yes. Yeah.
So what is your take on politics and, let's say, music and so-called struggle music, conscious music?
Okay. I don't have a problem. They used to say when black jazz artists come a little smooth, he was a sellout.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of bull crap. A man gotta feed his family. He've already done that heavy duty jazz in the 60s and 70s. Now let me try something else. A little more royalty checks come in. And they were making good. George Benson. Go Washington, Herbie Hancock. Herbie did on Blue Note all that heavy duty. I have tons of his albums. He transformed. Miles said, I don't want to play that stuff no more. He rolled with Prince and Sly Stone and all them other guys. He was a visionary, man.
Mind you though, Breeze, it's hard for me to see how somebody like James Blood Alban, Anthony Braxton, the Randy Weston, Abdullah Ibrahim, Dollar Brand, the Art Ensemble Chicago, Ornette Coleman. It's hard to see them cats.
I understand.
Water it down.
Yeah,
or
I understand.
cross
I'm with you.
over.
I'm with you. But if a guy pull up on you walking down the street, Clifton Joseph,
Ah, that's me.
get in the back. Here's an envelope. I want to dive trip, but I want it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have you book regularly, touring the world. But you can still do your hardcore.
Yes.
Who am I to judge you? You gotta eat, you gotta put a roof over their shoulders. I don't judge nobody on how they want to cross. It's just, the problem I have is when these stations trying
Only
to present that kind of, like you said, that
Dick.
yeah, that middle of the road, it's not too hard, not too black, you don't want to offend that kind of softy jazz thing.
Dig.
I have a problem with that kind of stuff. So when I put on my jazz on a Thursday night till Friday morning, it's hardcore stuff coming at you, man. Ross and Roland Kirk, John Coltrane, Herbie Hancock, Sonny Rollins, Oscar Peterson, real heavy duty stuff coming at you, man.
Because Breeze, you're absolutely correct, because it's complicated. Because for instance, I mentioned earlier on Rudy Van Gelder passed a couple of years ago.
Yes.
CTI.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how I got into jazz in high school, right? So again, some people might say that's slightly watered down, but what it is though, if it wasn't for him, a lot of us, because the DJs would play those cats late at night, because inevitably on the album there'd be one or two tracks which might be an R&B hit currently, right? So if it's Freddie Hubbard, if it's Ron Carter, if it's Laws, Ron Carter, on any of them.
Yeah.
So, and then that's how I started to say, okay, let me check Freddie Hubbard's real shit.
Yeah.
And so
Thank you very much.
And I think it was Ron Carter who had said at the time that, you know, he plays that kind of music to be able to finance his other kind of music.
Thank you very much, sir.
And pay the bills too, I would imagine.
Thank you very much.
So
I discovered jazz at 10 years old in Trinidad. People say, you gotta be kidding me. I like a young kid like you. Radio was playing jazz in the evening in Trinidad.
Let's take five, just take
Dave
five.
Brubeck. I heard that and it hit my soul. My uncle came down in Trinidad with a set. With a drum, with it, switch the needle both sides, pick up pop out like a grip. And he brought some blues, he brought jazz, he brought soul. Aunts and uncle, they listened to the blues and the soul. Nobody was listening to the jazz. I threw on a Miles Davis album, a Mus Montgomery, Jimmy Smith, T-Bone Steak. He was in a karate suit with the Hammond B3. So, and people, Uncle Devil would look at me like I was just, and I would just take me into the cosmos, and I would sit down, and it calmed me down, take me to a place, man. So I got the bug. So when I came here, I came looking for them albums, man. I build up. You see in the back of me here.
Oh yeah. A treasure chest.
Crazy. You name the artist in jazz, it's there. I have at least 2-3 albums each, and things like that. So Clifton, right now, I want to put more jazz on, and certain times where people can listen, because the States are gravitating. They're loving this stuff. It's their heritage. It takes time to rip the CD.
Yes.
And then when you gotta put it, once you rip the CD, then you can pull the tracks and throw them over here.
It's not an easy
It's
process.
not an easy process. It's a lot of work.
work.
To do what I do, if you line up 1 million people and say you're going to do it, but you gotta take the part Kool Breeze took, from that million, you might end up with 100. You have to be passionate, you gotta be love that stuff, and you gotta put in hard work. I was never hard work never fazed me, man. It never. The more you throw me, I would just smile, and you think that I would make up my face like, you think you're punishing me, but I'm loving the stuff. People think Clifton, pardon me, that Kool Breeze is just a pretty face with a nice body.
It is that too, Breeze, but you're more than just a
When I grew up in Trinidad, I had to tie out seven goats, tie out 3 pigs. I got to sweep the yard.
That's before school.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then because all my aunts were gone, my mom came here and my uncle. So you got to sweep the yard, wash them dishes before you go to school. When you come back, get a game of cricket played before the sun goes down. Tie them goats, feed them pigs, and get your homework done. So the discipline and the regimen, the hard work and that hardcore, what you call indomitable will, build the Kool Breeze. So people who don't know me will talk shit that because they don't know me. Anybody had some window into my personality will understand what the breeze is all about. I paid the price. My mom died when I was 2. Father never seen until I was 15 and 40. So I had to struggle, come here 15 years old on my own 18. Nobody handed me anything in this country. Yeah. So I was thrown to the wolves many times. I could have easily self-destruct, Clifton, but I came back leading the pack, my brother. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And Breeze, we're coming down to it. You're listening to Clifton Joseph filling in for Kool Breeze, interviewing Kool Breeze, the second part of a 2-part interview. You can catch part 1 on Kool Breeze, JackieVibes.com, on Kool Breeze's social media, particularly his YouTube channel. Breeze, 3 instruments I'm going to talk to you about, right?
Talk to me.
That I sometimes miss when I listen to things, right? The clavinet.
Okay.
That Stevie Wonder specialized in a number of times. The Hammond B3, which we still hear maybe the mostly of the
Time to
3.
time.
And then the flute, particularly in jazz. So
Herbert Laws.
what about these 3 instruments, Breeze, and that they seem to be
I'm glad you
on
brought
the list of endangered species?
I'm glad you brought that up because it dawned on me when you said that shit, I haven't heard that in quite some time. So now, when a broadcaster play, he might gravitate to sax and piano.
Oh yeah.
And sing it. Those 3 things.
Yes.
Don't get
yes.
the bulk of play.
They totally dominate the shit, don't they?
Now that you brought it up, I want to rip me some more Jimmy Smith and Freddie McGriff and all them kind of things.
Jack
Herbert Laws.
McDuff. Yeah.
Yes. Babyface Willette.
Bobby Humphrey.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
I'm going to rip some more tracks because you had brought it to my awareness. It's not that I don't have, but it needs more. I will definitely put some more on the platter. Yeah, it's. I forgot the other question.
I don't even think it was a question, man.
I was just throwing it out there.
I was just talking about like they seem to be in that endangered list of musical instruments in jazz and funk.
But they're phenomenal instruments.
Absolutely.
Look, the guy passed away a year ago. What's his name? John
T. Davis here in Toronto. One of the foremost Hammond B3 organists in the country.
I used to go and watch Kingsley Etienne.
Just bumped into the other day. Just finished his PhD, came back from South Africa, and Kingsley is back in town.
I used to go watch him every chance I get. He pumped. He's mentored me, pumping iron and this and that. He's called me Trini.
He buffed up at one
Come
point.
on, Trini. So I used to go watch him play. And Hammond B3s are very complicated.
Absolutely.
It's just, the 2, but and to put this thing on a truck.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's
you have to dress it.
one of the reasons he's seeing that mostly in a lot of clubs, right?
Yeah, because it is a.
It's not an easy thing to transport.
No. But I have to draw. There was an episode. A friend told me. Tom Jones came. Because they've been hearing Tom Jones only performing.
Unusual to me.
He would always performing in Vegas. He was a staple there. So finally he made it over here. And the man said to me, his sister went down to Honestad and buy
a whole bunch of panties.
10 oversized panties.
My sister was in the crowd too.
Oh, and then the pelting panties at Tom Jones. And one of them, he catch.
He says, I That's scandalous. That is scandalous.
Tom Jones. I said, if I catch a panty,
I like the smell of this one.
If I catch a panty with my teeth, I better know that woman real good.
I hope she wash off.
Clifton, you're killing me here. You're killing me. Like the Australian cricket board would say, Clifton Joseph, you best to tidy up your act, man. Or you won't be representing Australia. You're killing me.
Let's finish things up by going to the past and to the future. Sometimes when you hear about old school funk, there are different kind of old schoolers. They're the young ones who weren't actually there.
Yeah.
So they get it secondhand or twice removed, right? Then there are the DJs who I know were there with the funk.
Yeah.
So their playlist is much more expanded.
Absolutely.
Both of those, some of them are some might say pedal nostalgia. So they might not leave the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that can happen. So it seems like you're always in peddling nostalgia like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? I know that's not you too, because then a lot of us don't hear the new funketeers or the older funketeers who are still around funking on their mothership, right?
Right.
How do you straddle the two, and is there a danger of being quagmired in one, like you're off on the island of maroon on the island of old funk, and you never hear anything new, or you just deal with the new thing and you never refer to the old funketeers?
Any way you swing it, I think it's long as you're keeping funk alive, you're doing a good thing.
Okay.
If with the newbies who tuning in, I like to spread some of the newer funk where they can gravitate to, so you can pull them over to the old funk, see what the real structure. I remember back in the days, my daughters, when they were high school, they were listening to songs. Oh, this is the real. Some guys sampled a lot of the stuff. Oh, Dad, you gotta hear this. I gotta hear what? They pull up my Isley's brothers CD and they find the power business. And I said, no, this is long before you were born. I was in high school. This is a CD for, this is the original. Everything comes from something else. Everybody has a lead up to something. So the endangerment becomes when you don't play the funk. When you don't funk around.
Yep.
That's where the endangerment comes. But once you look at the Dayton scene, the best radio talk show on the planet, Dayton, Ohio, David R. Webb with Jasmine Summers and the other gentleman. They're in Dayton, Ohio. They have a fabulous show.
People taking care of business presently, as
yes,
you speak.
they do. They network all over the states. They're on Jackie Vibes Radio. They're on Radio Echelon. They're doing their stuff. Kool Breeze, the mothership, bringing the hardcore stuff every Wednesday. So that we carrying the torch for the funk. The other cats, they could carry the newer funk, like stuff that come out late 90s and present. If I hear something maybe from Bootsy, yeah, I'll throw that on, and there's other stations doing that as well. But I stick to the real hardcore hits, Sledgehammer and Komodo Dragon infested electric eel type of funk, man. Yeah.
This has been the Kool Breeze Experience. I'm guest host Clifton Joseph, interviewing Kool Breeze. This is part 2 of a 2-part interview, maybe more actually.
Yes.
You can catch the original part 1 interview on all aspects of Kool Breeze, social media, and JackieVibes.com, and of course on Kool Breeze's YouTube channel. Breeze, let the people know what's coming up, what it is, and what the Jackie Vibe experience is.
Jackie Vibes, we're always looking to build on yesterday, build into the future, take it into the cosmos. One thing I always tell the broadcasters, with me, mediocrity is not an option. I don't embrace excuses, I embrace results. You come strong or you don't come at all. Do like Nike, just do it.
Star Child!
You've been listening to the Funk Experience.
And I want to send a few shout-outs.
Absolutely, please do.
My daughters, Kadona, Corella, Aria, my 2 grandsons, Kazari and Kazan, and my fan base, Miss Sandra Hacking, Lee Great, my #1 fan, Alvin Wiki Flight, Daryl Gibbs, Eddie Bullen, Wolf Milestone, Jerome Tucker, Michael Dunstan, 480 East, Dr. John Satchman, Manan, Norman Connors, Omar Hakim, Jerome Tucker, Mark Daniels, Keisha Wint, JC Cole, Tom Brown, just to name a few. We could spend all evening reeling out those names.
That was an abbreviated thank you list, baby, and we know it was a bit semi-exhaustive. Breeze, it's always been a pleasure, man. Always been a pleasure.
Clifton,
look forward to part 3, 4, 5, and on until the break of dawn.
We have so much fun in the
Absolutely.
studio. I remember one time you were telling me that you went to some friend's place, or somebody told me they went to somebody's place, but they didn't eat pork, and then he told them, give him a code. The guy took the sauce and put it in a dressing table in the room and he radio him. And
That
he
was
ate-
me. That was me, baby. I couldn't let go of the sauce 2 years after I stopped
He
eating
ate the
pork.
pig,
I
ate the pig, put it back in the and put it back in the dressing table.
Went back into the living room and started hypocritically cursing the pork. I couldn't let go of the sauce for 2 years.
You cursed the pig?
I'm telling you, man.
Shame on you, Clifton.
I was a hypocritical pig.
Shame on you, Clifton. I mean, it's like I said.
Breeze, you're terrible, you know.
And
You're
then-
terrible. You're really fucking terrible.
and then you went to somebody. You went rib fresh and the height of the day. All you saw was a cellophane,
Oh, gosh, boy.
clear cellophane bags with just ribs, bones, and the water sold out.
Where you get this boy from? Where I get this boy from? Now you want me to get my hypocritical pig story part 2. I couldn't let go of the sauce, and then occasionally the ribs and them I had to like. That was in the past, yo. That was not definitely in the past.
We have too much fun, man. Peace out, everybody. Peace
Oh
out.
yeah, how sweet
Peace
it
out.
is. How sweet it is,
How
baby.
sweet it is, baby. Peace, love, and togetherness. Let's keep it together, my brothers and sisters. Yeah, man. Thank you, man.